Hello everybody, this is part 4 on how to make an RPG or adventure game in Scratch. In this video, I will be quickly going over all of my current code and sprites, then I will start making an inventory for the player, and start making a shop. Also, as a quick update, I will not be making a fighting system in this adventure game series, but I may do a separate tutorial on it if a lot of people want it. Anyways, let's get started. First off, it's been a long time since I made part 3, and as you can see, I made a few changes to the art. So I decided to make all of the art pixelated, and yeah, I think it looks better. So I have my trees, and house, and player, and the rock, and I changed all of the art for that. The art may look a bit blurry, but yeah, that's fine. So right now, I will quickly review all of my sprites. So let's start with the player. I'm gonna rename this to player. So the player is pretty simple. We have a when flag clicked, then it resets the variables east, west, and north, south to 0. So it starts at 0, 0 in the positioning of levels. And this is just a player image. So in the forever loop, it just follows sprite 2, which is the actual player hitbox. And then it just changes costumes based on the arrow key pressed. So yeah, pretty simple. Next up is a separate forever loop. So this is for all the interactions. So to interact, we press space, and it just pretty much checks if the space key is pressed or not, and this will determine whether it interacts with the object or not. So for example, if we press space in front of the apple tree, it says apple found, and the apples increases by 1. So yeah, that's pretty simple too. Next up is the hitbox, so I'll just write player hitbox. And when the flag is clicked, it goes to a position, and then it becomes invisible. That's the ghost effect. And then it just moves up or down, or left or right, based on the arrow key pressed. And then if it's touching sprite 3, which is this one, or sprite 5, which is this one, then it doesn't move, or goes backwards, and then the going forward and going backwards cancels out, so it doesn't move. So like this, it's not going into the house. So yeah, that's the collision for the hitbox. And then there's house in, house out. That is when we're going inside of the house. The hitbox teleports over here at this position. Then once we go out of the house, it goes over here. Next up is this forever loop. This just checks whether the player should go to a different area. So like if we go down here, and then let's say the Y position is less than -175, which is right here, it checks that. If it is, then the map coordinates, the north-south, changes by -1. And as you see here, I don't have a level done for this one yet, so yeah. Let's just try going up. So once the hitbox is greater than a specific Y position, then the levels change to this one. So yeah, same with going right or left, the levels change. So yeah, the next one is I will call this, like maybe foreground. No, not really. Just collidable objects, I guess. I'll just call these colliders, I guess. Colliders, yeah. So this is really simple. It just switches costume to the current map number, which is determined by the east and west variable and the north and south variable. So pretty much, if we go to costumes here, we can see that there are different costume names. There's 00, 10, 01, and room. So pretty much right now, since east, west, and north, south are both at 0, it switches to this costume, because this costume name is called 00. And east, west is 0, so this is 0, and then north, south is 0, so this is 0. And then the join pretty much means you just put the two numbers together. So that's 0, 0. So right now, it should switch costume to 00, and then this is the costume. So yeah, you can see this house is right here, and then in the game, it's this part over here. So yeah. And then if we go, let's say, right, east-west should change by 1, then that would be 1, 0, because north-south did not change, so it's still 0, but east-west changed by 1, so it's 1, 0. So it should switch costume to 1, 0, and it does. This is 1, 0. So yeah, next one up is, I'll just call this, I guess foreground. Yeah. Because in all of these costumes, the player goes under it, so yeah. So this is the same thing as the previous sprite. So yeah. Okay, actually I'll rename the collider sprite to background. Makes more sense. And yeah, so the foreground, it's the same thing. We have the house roof and the apple tree. So yeah, it's the same thing. Next up is these are the interactable objects. I'll just call these interactable objects. Interactable objects. Alright. Okay, I'll delete the space. Okay. Oops, okay. Alright, so what this does is when the flag is clicked, then the original sprite hides, creates 3 clones, gives each clone a different ID, like a identification number. So yeah, when the clone is created, you can see if the clone number equals 1, then this pretty much essentially is the apple tree. So that's the first clone. So if the map is 0, 0, which it is right now, then switches costume to costume 1, which is this one. Then if it's touching the player, which it is, oops, okay, that's sort of weird. Alright, so if it's touching the player, which it is, and space pressed equals 1, right now it's 0, but once you press space, that becomes 1. Then it broadcasts apple, which is seen with the apple found. Then it changes apples by 1. So yeah, for the second one, clone number 2, that is the door. So same thing, detects if there's an interaction, then it just broadcasts house in, which is inside of the house. Then the map name is called room. And for the third clone, that is the exiting door of the house, then it checks again for if it's touching the player, or in this case, if the player is how close it is to the door. Then it just leaves the house. So yeah. Next up is I'll call this text, I guess. This is just the apple found text. So once I receive apple, which is broadcasted from clone number 1, which is the trunk over here, then this just shows. And yeah, for this one is a new sprite I just made, and this is only for background purposes. So yeah, I just wanted to make some grass spawn randomly. You could just copy and paste a ton of like this grass sprite onto the stage, but I just wanted to do it like this. So yeah, so I'll just call this grass, and I just created like this block which creates 75 clones of the grass, goes to a random position on the screen, and then the grass goes to the most back of the screen. So it's behind everything. So yeah, one thing I want to add to the grass is that, as you see here, when we enter the house, I want the grass to disappear. So I'll just do a quick forever loop. Forever if the room or the level, if east-west is equal to room, which it is right now, then it hides, else show. So that should work now. Yep, now the grass hides when we go inside the house, and then it shows when we exit. So yeah. Okay, actually this makes it a tiny bit laggier with all the 75 clones, checking over and over again with a forever loop. So I'm going to change this to wait until we enter the room, then we hide, then we add the show in front of that. Let me see if it works. Okay, yeah, it works. And it's less laggy now. There's no more lag. So that's good. Alright. Now we can finally get started with our inventory. So right now these variables are looking really plain and boring, so I'm going to change that. Let's first hide the east-west and north-south. We don't need that. Alright. I want to have a picture for the apples and stone, so I'll just create a new sprite. Alright, and I'll name this UI, I guess, for user interface. And I'm going to draw my apple and stone picture to replace this variable. So yeah. Alright, so I'm finished with the apple and stone inventory icons. And yeah. So actually, I'm not going to call this UI. I'm just going to call this inventory. And there we go. So I'm going to first drag it when flag clicked. Then I'm going to resize it because this is too small. So I'm going to go to looks and then grab a set size to, and I'll change this to, let's say, 400%. And okay, that is a bit too large, so maybe 200%. Okay, that looks better. And I'm going to move the stone a bit more upwards, like this. Okay, maybe a bit more downwards. Or, yeah, a bit more downwards. Okay, a bit more. Alright, that's good. Now I'm going to position this, so let's see. I'll put this right here on the top left corner. That is over here. Now we can just drag this, and we have our icons. So now we want to replace the numbers in the variable with an actual number counter. And to do that, let's create a new sprite. I'll call this number apples. And we need to create 10 costumes from 0 to 9. So yeah. Alright, I am done with that. And make sure to name all of your costumes the number that you have here. So I'm going to name this 0, and then 1, and so on. So yeah. Alright, so now we have our costumes for the number counter. Now let's grab a when flag clicked. So when the flag is clicked, then let's create, let's say, so repeat about 10 times is fine. And let's go to data, create a new variable. Let's call this digits. That's what I usually call it. Now remember to select for this sprite only. This is really important, otherwise it won't work. So for this sprite only, then click OK. And let's set that to 1 because we're going to start out with 1 digit in the number counter, which is 0, right? So 0 has 1 digit in it. So yeah, and then let's repeat 10, change digits by 1, and then create a clone of myself, drag that before. So yeah. There we go. And then when the clone is created, then let's show it. Oh yeah, let's hide the original sprite. So show the clone. And then let's grab a forever loop. And let's see. Okay, let's go to motion and then drag a go to XY block. Now, this is how we position our digits. So, since each digit in the number we're going to be displaying will have a different position on the screen, we need to have it go to a specific position based on the digit number we have. So let's grab a digits variable. Then let's grab a multiplication operator. Put the digits inside of one side. And let's start with 15, I guess. Then let's grab let's see, a minus operator. Drag this into the left side. Then let's subtract like 200. So this seems a bit confusing about what I'm doing right now, but I'll explain it really soon. So yeah, let's drag this into the X position right here. And now let's just set the Y to like, oh no, let's see. What is that? 160? 150. And let's click the flag. Alright, so right now, as you can see, this does not work, but I'll explain to you about the positions. So, since we have 10 clones, and each clone has a different value for the digits variable, since the digits is for this sprite only, that means that each clone can have a different value of the digits variable. So, the first clone has 1 as the value for its digits variable, second clone has 2 for the value, and so on. So if we just do the math here, since the clone number 1 has 1 for its value, then it goes to X position of 1 times 15, which is 15, minus 200, which is negative 185, and then the Y position of 150. Then for clone number 2, it goes to 30, because 2 times 15 is 30, minus 200, which is negative 170 of the X position, and then so on, like that. So yeah, next up, we want the numbers to correctly display the variable number. So let's just grab a switch costume to in the looks. So switch costume to, and let's go to operators, grab a letter of, or letter 1 of, put this into the switch costume to. Then let's go to data, grab our digits. And since we're going to be displaying the apples, so just grab the apples variable, put it inside of the text, and there we go. So as you see, the first 2 clones display 24, which is the correct number, because that's how many apples we have. However, we want the others, the other unused ones to hide, so we need an if-else statement. So go to control, grab it if-else, now let's put this into the else. So go to operators, grab a lesser equal than operation. So if length of, let's grab length of, put it inside the left of here. Length of apples, which is the thing we're counting for, is less than digits. Then let's just hide it, and there we go. Now it shows 24. So only the digits needed shows, then the rest hide, and then the digits that are showing. So just costume based on the number in the apples variable. So yeah, I know I explained this a bit quickly, but I do explain this better in my other video, how to make a clicker game in Scratch. I explained this much more in depth. So yeah, if you want to check it out, then I'll put the link in the description below. Anyways, that's it for now, and let's just reposition this. So maybe Y 155, 156. Alright, now for the X position, to make it go to the left, we increase this number. So from 200 to maybe 210, maybe 205. Yeah, 205. And there we go. So we can now hide the apples and stone variables. And now let's duplicate this sprite, and to have the number counter for the stone also. So I'll name this number stone, and leave everything like this. And then only thing we need to change is, first of all, the Y position, but also change the variable. So change the apples to stone, so one here and one here. So these two, and let's make it move down, so maybe 140. Let's see how that looks. Okay, maybe 130, 120, 26, 28. Okay, 128. And it's like that. So perfect. We have our number counters for our apples and stones. And one thing I forgot to do is to always set the apples and stones back to 0 when the game starts. So I will do that maybe in the player. So yeah, set apples to 0 and set stone to 0. Alright, so now we have our counters. Let's try it out. When the player goes under the tree, click space, sorry, we change our apples by 1. Click it again, now we have 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, okay, that did not work. Let's see. Okay, that's weird. Okay, let's see. Number of apples. Oh yes, one thing. Sorry about that. We need to make sure that it shows in the else statement of the checking if the length of apples is less than digits. I forgot that. Make sure to do that for the stones too. So show. So yeah, that should work now. That is because when we go to 10, that means we're going into numbers with 2 digits, right? So the new clone should show like that. So yeah, okay, now it works. And yeah, I think I'm gonna decrease the spacing between the numbers. I'll maybe change it to 12. Okay, so to decrease spacing between each digit, change the number inside of the multiplication equation. So yeah, I'll change this from 15 to 12. Oops, okay, 12. Okay, that's better. So yeah, I like that. Now that should work well. Alright, cool. So we have our basic inventory of our apples and stone. Let's just try the stone. I haven't tried it yet, so... Oh yeah, okay, I don't think it works yet. Does it? I forgot. Okay, it does not work yet. Okay, I think I'll do it in the next episode of the series. Not this video, though, because I need to get started on the shop. So yeah, let's work on the shop. So right now, when we enter the house, there's nothing. So I want to sort of add like a market in here. So maybe like exchange the resources for money. So yeah, I'll start making a market. Let's create a new sprite, and I will draw the costume for it. Alright, so I am done with one of them. This is going to be one of the merchants, where you can trade the apples for gold. So yeah, let's see. I actually might put this inside of the interactables sprite. Yep, instead of creating your own sprite, put this costume inside of the interactable object sprite. So just, let's see. I think you can just, yeah, drag the costume over here, drag it from over here into the interactable sprite. Just plop it in there. So yeah, there it is. You get your costume. Now I will rename this to 4. And yeah, now we can delete our created sprite from before. Okay. So this merchant sprite, or this merchant, works pretty much the same as any other interactable object. When the player touches it, then it presses space, then something happens. So let's create, or we can just duplicate this. So when the flag is clicked, then set clone to 4, then yeah, create clone myself. And now let's create a new if statement. So duplicate this, put it on the bottom. If clone number equals 4, and if the stage is the room, then we show. Now let's go to like over here or here. That's like x position -85, y position 14. So -85, -14, switch costume to 4, and let's say if distance of player is less than 12, that's fine, and space press equals 1, so when the space key is pressed, then let's just, let's create a gold variable. So let's go to data, make a variable, let's name it gold, click OK, and let's take out all of these stuff between the wait until space press equals 0. Then let's, okay, for now, or actually, let's change the gold by 1, and then, yeah, change gold by 1, and change apples by -1, because we traded apple for gold. So let's test it out. Okay, we have our temporary gold variable over here. Space key is pressed. There is our merchant. Now, as you see, we can't run into it. That's pretty good. Okay, however, this is a problem, though. We can't run into the sign, either. We should be able to go under the sign. But, okay, this is good for now. When we press space, as you see, we get 1 gold. And, okay, the number counter is hidden because the black blends in with the black room, so we can't see it, but, yeah. Right now, there's no limit to how many trades you can do, but we can fix that later. Okay. Let's change the background of the room to be like a gray. Maybe a darker gray, or let's see. A white? No, that looks bad. I'll make it to a dark brown. I think that might work. Oh yeah, okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, yeah, that works. Now, and I think I'm gonna change the ground of this house to like a different color, because we have too many browns right here. As you can see, we have our wall is brown, the ground is brown, the sign is brown, the player's pants are brown, the player's hair is brown. So that's like, and the door is brown. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 browns. That's a lot. So let's change this to maybe a gray. Yeah, a gray works fine. Okay, I think it looks okay. Let's see. Okay, not a white. Maybe a light brown? That looks alright. Maybe a darker brown. That's a bit too orange, I think. Okay. Let's see. Alright. This is gonna require some trial and error. Okay, this looks fine for now. But yeah, okay. Now, let's try it out. So, okay, first of all, let's also set the gold to 0 when the flag is clicked. So set gold to 0. And now let's try collecting some apples. Okay, we have 7 apples. Oops, okay. Okay, now we have 0 gold now. So, yeah, 7 apples. And let's go into the market. We have our merchant here. Then when we press space, we lose an apple and we get 1 gold. Alright, that looks pretty well. Cool. Okay. Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna stop it for now. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe too, if you haven't already. And the next part of the series, I will finish the market, make the stonework, so you can be able to collect stone from the rock, and add gold to the inventory. Anyways, that's it for this video. See ya!